We're live.
Welcome back to the first live online broadcast of the 2015 Spring League Championship for Sioux Falls Curling. We're about to watch the top two teams in the league face off in the championship match.
We've got the contenders versus the off team.
Looks like the contenders will be throwing the blue stones tonight. The off team will be throwing the red. We're about to get things underway here in our championship match. We do apologize. Apparently our audio got cut out in the earlier match we were broadcasting. I promise you the commentary was phenomenal. You missed out on some really great stuff. We'll try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen again. Big shout out to Damian Lewis. So thank you for catching that and sending me a text message. I appreciate that.
And as your commentators, I'm Katie Kopp.
And I'm Corey Kopp. We are novice curlers here with the Sioux Falls curling team. We've curled since their conception. Now just completing our third season. We're about to get things underway here. The contenders are throwing first. Chris Leither will be throwing his first stone. We'll try to give you a little bit of curling knowledge as we go. Some of the basics that may be helpful to know. Each team has 8 stones, 4 players, each throwing 2 stones. Typically in the same order, much like a batting order.
That is a great first stone.
Stones are thrown from one end to the other. The circles represent the house on the far end. The house is where you can score. As long as you're in the house, then potentially your stones have the ability to score points.
In between the last game and this game, they did pebble the ice, so
our stones should be traveling a little more slowly than they were before. As we've mentioned before, as more stones are thrown and as play continues, the ice tends to speed up.
that was a great draw.
It was a great draw. A draw is a stone that either pulls in behind, much as we're seeing here, or draws to a specific location.
Kurt was pretty excited on that throw.
Yes,
he doesn't normally get them in. He has
Chris
some great guards, but not always in.
Chris throwing his second shot here. Looks like he's going to try and come around the outside and maybe sit in behind his own stone if he can. Judging by his skip's reaction, maybe isn't quite what they were looking for.
Oh, not at all.
And a bummer for the contenders.
But great for the off team.
Manages to put the off team in good position. Sitting one behind a couple of contender blockers. Guards, excuse me. Kurt now throwing his second stone. Kurt's going to try and... Well, it looks like maybe Kurt's a little wider than his skip would have liked.
Skip is, again, just the person they're both standing in the house right now for each team, and they're the ones who usually call the shots. They also end up being the fourth thrower.
As we said, each team will have 4 throwers. First, second, third, and skip. Skip is the team captain, typically, who, as Katie mentioned, is also the person calling the shots.
And as I said in the last one, kind of the brains of the operation.
All right.
Curling can be a little likened to chess in terms of the strategy piece of it. So the skip is the person who's really takes ownership for that strategy of the team. Each person plays their part, but that's kind of the part of the skip.
Ricky Vorn throwing his first shot of the night as a champ in the championship here. Looks like a nice draw. Hit his own stone, pushed
Very
it
nice.
in.
So now the contenders are up 1.
Sitting a nice blocker in front of that stone as well. A nice guard out way up front.
See if they can keep it.
For those of you Major League fans out there, Ricky Vorn is not the same as Ricky Vaughn.
And
However,
if you've never seen Major League.
if you ever see Ricky Vorn in public, please do sing him the Wild Thing song.
Matt is throwing his first stone for the off team.
Looks like it went pretty wide for Matt, but they're hoping to come back.
We had mentioned earlier that there would be a game that for the third and fourth place team, but that is not happening for various reasons. Some of the team members had to leave, so we are just having the championship game for first and second place.
We got Skip Dustin Hansen for the contenders here, trying to coach his team through what he wants to have from the next shot. Typically, the skip is going to discuss that with the sweepers, who will then come down and share that information with Ricky, who will be throwing the next stone. As Ricky pushes out from the hack is the starting block from which curlers begin their motion. Right about here, you'll notice that black line that he just passed. That's called the hog line. There's one on each end. On the end from which they're throwing, that's the line by which they have to release the stone. The end they're throwing to, as it's coming up on now, is the line which the stone has to cross in order to remain in play.
Put that guard out of there.
So Ricky put a guard out front,
Get it out of there.
which is protecting that scoring point in the back there.
Matt is now throwing his second stone.
And Matt's trying to take out that lead guard on the left side. However, it looks as though maybe
Quite
his
the right
line is going to carry him right through the center of all of that.
The heavier the stone is thrown, the more likely it is to stay on line, so it won't curl, which is sometimes challenging if you want it to curl.
So Matt's shot there certainly had an impact, but didn't change things from a scoring perspective. Dustin's calling for a difficult shot. He'd like to have Brian graze the inside of the opponent's stone and curl off into the house. Ricky and Chris here will be sweeping. For those who maybe don't know, sweeping is just as much about distance as it is about keeping a stone straight. When you hear them yell for the sweep, it's usually because they're either trying to make it go a little further or a little straighter. Good sweepers can sometimes add as much as 10 or 12 feet to a curling shot. And certainly the more that's swept, the straighter it's going to stay. As the stone slows down, typically the pebbling effect on the ice causes it to curl quite a bit more in whichever direction they've turned it. That additional friction causes the curl to be accentuated. We've got Daryl coming up with his first shot. Daryl Haas. Looks like Daryl's going to remove a guard here if he can.
And
again, not a terrible shot. It had an impact, but maybe not quite what they were hoping for.
possibly gave the contenders 2 points. I'm just not sure where that red stone sits.
From our angle, it's difficult to tell, but it's possible they're sitting 2. Brian Schumacher here with his second throw.
Hopefully going between this red stone that is passing by right now and hopefully going past the blue stone in theory. Or hitting it and bringing the blue stone in a little bit. The off team is hoping to bump their front red stone in. line slightly off, so may not do exactly what they want. No, goes right by.
What?
See if they can get that blue stone out.
No, not quite.
Unfortunately, that has possibly given the blue team, or the contenders, 3 points.
Yeah. Now again, this is the first league championship done by Sioux Falls Curling. Past 2 leagues have ended simply in league play, indicating top teams based on their standing overall. This year, in addition to league play and individual league championships, Sioux Falls Curling has organized the larger championship tournament here, much like a March Madness for basketball, with slightly fewer fans.
Just slightly. But that it was also in part purely because we have 4 different leagues now, which is super exciting. We're getting enough people to be able to have a variety of times and a variety of nights to play. So if you're interested at all, we definitely have Learn to Curl events. We will have Learn to Curl events in the next several months, getting ready for the fall league. This year we had 2 nights that we played. We had a Monday night and Thursday night, and then we had an early time and a late time. So like 6:30 to 8 was one time, and 8:30 to 10 was another time. So it kind of gave some variety or options for people.
See our sweepers here trying to get Dustin's stone across the hog line. It did not cross. It must be all the way across. As a result, then, they'll burn that stone or take it out of play.
Also, just to add a plug for more people coming to curl, this season we also had a novice league for teams that, what it sounds like, that have never played before and were interested in learning to curl. So you don't need to compete against people necessarily who have been playing for a couple years or decades, depending on how long they've been curling. Instead, you're learning along with everybody else in your league. So there are a variety of levels to come in at. We just want to spread the word and get people to play. Mandy
Haas. Your handwriting is questionable.
It is.
Mandy Haas up for her first shot. A skip for team off. She's going to pull one right up the center here. Her hope is to draw her own stone in.
She is hoping.
Now what may have made a difference there, although, we'll see what they do here. Yeah. What may have made a difference there, at least in my opinion, Katie, would have been to either counter curl and come at it from the other direction. As it was, they curled it off to the left toward the side wall. Had they curled it back to the right and held that same line, they might have been able to keep it a little straighter.
I do agree with that. At the same token, though, just being a sweeper, I know that sweeping would have definitely helped keep that straight line.
Yep.
So while the curl from the beginning is definitely important, at the same time, those sweepers, if it's on line, should have swept to help bring that stone in where they wanted it.
Right. If the line is good, it should be swept.
Because while it still can curl when you're sweeping, it should not curl as much, especially depending on the force that you sweep.
Dustin Hansen down in the hack for his second shot. The contenders skip, hoping to make yet another point, put his team in position to score as many as 4. There you see Dustin with that counter curl, curling it back toward the center line. Throwing a pretty light stone there.
Not quite what Dustin was hoping for, but at the same time, didn't do any damage to his team. So at the end of an end, that can be a win sometimes.
Absolutely. I'll tell you right now, as a skip, sometimes your job is simply to do no harm.
Mandy has one last throw for this end. Hoping to bring one of her stones closer to the button. So then they score. this evening you are clearly watching two of the best teams in our Sioux Falls Curling League. There are a total of, 28 teams between the 4 leagues. So today the top 8 played, and you are watching the top 2 playing for the championship right now. But I do have to say that you can really come in this game at any level, and you have to be able to lunge basically. But even then, there are other devices that help you push that don't force you to lunge. But it's one of those sports that you can definitely get better at and come in with low skills to begin with.
Well, that was a bummer for Mandy and Team Off.
Looks like our championship sheets. The contenders laid 4 in the first end.
They did lay 4, so that red one was a little further away than I thought.
So at the end of our first end of 5, Team Contenders here
That was a big end.
with a 4-0 lead.
That can be a little disheartening after a full day of play.
We'll be playing 5 ends in the championship game tonight. An end again is exactly what it sounds like. One end of the ice to the other. They'll be throwing back the other direction, so you'll see the skips head down to the far end. The scoring team will always start off the next end as the first throw. So you'll see Chris Leithert here getting ready to throw.
And then just to run through the different players, so you have your first thrower, your second thrower, and then your third thrower is actually called a vice skip, and then the fourth thrower is called a skip. If you're not skipping or throwing, then you are sweeping. So if you're skip, you don't have to sweep.
That's not entirely true, Katie. Sometimes the skip has to sweep too.
Sometimes. A lot of times they just get to yell to sweep, though.
Chris's first throw going the other direction.
Not quite the weight that he was hoping for.
Interestingly
They're
enough,
just burning it.
ice is a lot like any other turf. It changes over the course of a game, and going one direction isn't necessarily the same as going the other.
Which may sound weird, but once you get out on the ice, you will understand what we mean.
And as we've just pebbled, as Katie had mentioned, the ice will tend to be a little bit slower right now. So you may see our curlers trying to throw a little bit harder, a little more weight than they typically would.
A couple of things we haven't mentioned earlier. When a stone is thrown, neither team can actually touch that stone. That is a big key. If you do touch that stone and you are it is your stone that you touched, then that is burned. It is out of play. If you touch a stone that is from the opposing team while it is being thrown, that stone actually gets to be placed back where it should have been.
Kurt Souls, first throw for Team Off, places him in the house. Chris Leither's second throw here, he's going to try and do something that gets him close. Looks like his skip wants him to put it out in front of the house a little bit, which is good strategy. Provides you a guard to draw in behind, or in the event it gets bumped by another stone, the likelihood is that it ends up in the house. Mandy's calling for a guard here. She'd like to have it.
That was a little heavy for a guard,
It was a little heavy for a guard.
even on this slower ice right now.
That's all right. Looks like
Let's
Kurt's
just hope
gonna
it goes by.
put it in the house.
That's not too bad to get another point. As long as it stays that way, that's the tricky part.
We got Ricky Vorn coming up for his first shot in the second end. Dustin calling for a takeout. Ricky's going to try and remove the opponent's stone.
That stone is curling a little bit more than they were hoping, but
Ricky's going to split the uprights. Oh,
did tap it a little bit.
he did.
Hey, the skip had to sweep.
It happens. It happens.
I know you can't hear this down on the ice, the players necessarily, but if you were here, you would hear them saying like nice throw when either their teammate or the opposing team does a nice throw. A big piece of curling is actually being a good sportsman. Staying positive is a big piece of this game. And being negative with your yelling is not what it's about. You would hear a lot of yelling when it comes to curling, but
Absolutely right.
it's positive yelling.
It's a loud sport, but it's not a mean sport.
It's not. And before and at the end of every match, you do shake your opponent's team, and tell them good curling.
Their hands.
Yes.
You don't shake the whole team.
Didn't mean to say that. I do not always speak correctly.
Shake the whole team. Entertaining. Ricky's second shot is pretty light. Gonna fall well short. So they'll burn that off and move on. Mandy's calling for a guard out in front. Try and protect their stones in the house. And Matt's going to do the best he can to oblige. Matt's got a good line. Needs to come back. But he may have thrown that a little heavier.
And it just, yep, the ice is definitely speeding up, but
Not a bad throw. Not a bad throw.
that works. That was what she called for. It always feels good as a thrower to throw how your skip asks you to.
That's right. As a skip, I can tell you right now, it is always nice when your team listens to you.
Corey says that with a smile on his face because his team wasn't necessarily listening to him earlier today. I was on his team, that's why I can say that.
Brian Schumacher here, throwing his first. He's hoping for the takeout.
Was it enough? Yes, it was.
Pulled the takeout, but he rolls out of the house.
And that happens sometimes. It's hard to balance that weight of having it hard enough to be a takeout, but soft enough that it stays in and counts. So that was definitely a shot that was positive for them.
Daryl Haas coming up for his first shot. Mandy calling for the same shot. She actually had Matt throw the last time around. Daryl maybe has thrown that. A little better line. It's fallen a little short.
They can sweep that in. They can do it.
Very well done.
And they got it. Even curled a little bit. Nicely done.
Nice throw, Daryl.
So let's see. The off team is counting 3 right now, with
Dustin
6
Collin.
stones remaining.
Dustin calling for another takeout. See if Brian can make this one happen as well. Brian gives it a little extra on the end there.
He does. We'll see how much it curls. Oh, it did curl the right way.
It's going to drop quite a bit.
I do have to say, Brian has had some nice shots tonight.
Brian is throwing quite well. However, team off is sitting in good position. They keep forcing the contenders to make the takeout.
Which is good. Keep them on their toes because the contenders are by far the favorites since they are undefeated this season.
And they may be oversweeping that one.
Possibly. Especially.
Just a hair. Still good, keeping the pressure on. And well spread out.
It is. It's forcing the contenders to have to think about each and every shot.
Well, and the contenders really are only going to be able to take out one at a time.
Exactly.
It's going to be very difficult to do a double at this point. So.
Yeah.
We got an update on our championship sheet. It looks like Team Off is sitting 3 right now, so it looks like the contenders are going over the strategy. What will they do?
I am sure you can hear this, but we are also now having other commentating happening.
That's right. We weren't told there would be other commentators, but we'll get over it. That's right. Looks like Brian's calling for a takeout. We'll see if Dustin or Skip can make this happen. You may notice when the Skip puts down his broom, he extends one hand. Typically, at least as we've seen today, that's indicating which direction he would like the curl to go. However, that can be done a number of different ways.
From what I understand, that is called the Minnesota way.
Yes, and the North Dakota rule is to
Complete opposite.
instead flip it and essentially point the handle in the direction that the Skip is pointing.
So it is important to know which way your team is playing.
Absolutely. And that was a very nice throw with throw from Dustin, who managed to sit now 1.
Yeah, so
Scoring.
now the off team has to play the offensive and knock out that stone. Mandy, as their Skip, knows exactly what to do. Also, just as a plug for new people joining us, you will see that people have various pieces of equipment here. We've got stones, we've got brooms, we do have like slider shoes. All of those are actually provided for you when you come, so you just need to literally show up and be able to walk and lunge, and you can play it, you can curl. There is literally no equipment needed because we will provide it.
It's holding that straight line. Unfortunately, it's going to cruise right through.
Not quite what they wanted.
Not what they were looking for. It's all right. She's still got a stone to go, so we'll see what Dustin puts out.
Contenders still sit 1 stone to go.
They're going to have to change their name now.
That's true.
No.
The contenders will have to consider a name change if they win.
So be on the lookout.
Those T-shirts look expensive. They might consider losing this game just to not have to pay for those again. Dustin hoping to draw into the center and score a second stone.
Although they got a sponsorship from Shenanigans.
It appears as
They
though
can
they
get
did.
a new T-shirt.
As long as Shenanigans is willing to put it up
Oh, that was a nice draw.
again. That was a very nice draw.
Dustin had a really good throw.
Well done.
All right. So yeah, what does the off team do?
Well,
So at this point in time, Gloria, what would you tell your team to do?
well, I actually don't mind what Kurt's telling him to do right now. He's hoping that they'll catch the inside of that stone to the left and then peel off and still catch the stone on the right. Now, I'm not convinced that Kurt's got the physics figured out of that just yet, but I like
That's a
the
little more
idea.
challenging.
It's an
Yes.
aggressive shot. I think that's what they need. It is possible that he could do that.
And they need.
If
they
it
need
were
to be
me,
aggressive.
at the risk of losing another end, I would probably actually try to take out the stone to the right. I would draw up to it and try to sit just to the left, right on the button,
Yep.
and score the point.
Right. So worst case scenario, you at least knock one out and only have them getting 1 point. Best case scenario, you get the point instead. I like it.
This is a more difficult shot, an aggressive one, and I respect it. We'll see what Mandy does with it.
Oh, that was a rough,
Mandy's delivery was a little off kilter, so she threw it pretty
a
wide.
rough way to end. All right, so the contenders are up 2, so now they are up 6-0.
Tee off, misses the shot. Contenders lead 2 to take a 6-0 lead. And number 3 coming up, stay tuned.
We're 2 ends down out of 5. Contenders leading 6-0.
I do want to point out that usually when we play, we're playing for an hour and a half. And these teams have each been, this is their third match of the evening, and while it's only 5 ends as opposed to just an hour and a half play, it's still definitely a lot more curling than any of these people are used to in a day.
There may be a little bit of fatigue setting in.
That's what I'm thinking.
Chris Leither's first shot crosses the hog line. Looks like we'll sit just maybe in the front of the house.
Pretty much what Dustin was hoping for.
That'll be Kurt's job to remove that. One of the reasons Dustin would prefer that stays out in front of the house and not actually bite is the first 4 stones thrown have to remain in their location if they are not in the house. Right now that stone can be taken out of play by Kurt's stone here. Had it been sitting just a couple inches lower than it is right now, that stone has to remain in play, and if Kurt were to take it out, it would be replaced.
Which, as a first thrower, can be quite frustrating when you have the hammer, so you are the second throw, and the person in front of you decides to throw it right in front of the house. And you know you don't have a lot of choice to go around.
Chris's second shot. We'll cross the hog line, but
We'll see
may
how much they
fall
want us
short
to
of the
draw
house in this one. Sweepers are going to get it close, but it's going to have to stay outside. And a little more left of the center line than they would like to be. Kurt's second stone. They're hoping they can pull right into the front of the house. Kurt's giving it a wide berth.
And a little bit of a push at the end there. We'll see if that's
It's
too
going to be
heavy.
a little heavy. And if Kurt gets lucky, he might kiss the inside of his own stone and
Which
roll
it
into the center.
did. Well, there you go. That worked out.
Probably better than it should have.
But go, Kurt.
Go, Kurt. Ricky the Wild Thing Vorn up for his first shot. Still amazed that Sioux Falls Curling has picked up on that. You played his theme music for him every time he's up.
Oh, we did kill the music in here.
One of the more interesting facts about Ricky is that he actually is a baseball pitcher.
I did not know that.
Makes his comparison to Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn in Major League all the more entertaining.
Is he still currently a pitcher?
I don't know the answer.
Okay.
He pitched for Augustana for a while. I believe
Got
he's
it.
still on the team.
Matt is now throwing his first stone. That was a good release. You'll notice that he did not push his stone, which is really what you're looking for. I realize that we are all learning. We're definitely by no means professionals, but it's always exciting to see that good form that you're supposed to have. Nice draw. So those are 2 beautifully positioned stones. Unfortunately, the contenders have had some great shots this day, so it's very possible that they can do a double takeout, but
Yeah, and those two stones that close together are providing a nice little backstop. So as long as Ricky can hold the line,
which he's not.
unfortunately, it's dropping
He
a
is
little to the
not.
left there. We'll see what he ends up with.
Oh, and it went past.
Wow.
Holy smokes.
So now, they're hoping Matt can put a guard out front and protect that.
That would be ideal.
Now,
Yeah.
Mandy's calling for a guard just in front of the house. For those who may not be aware, a guard is a stone that sits out typically in front of the house, but generally speaking is out to protect stones behind it. It prevents the opposing team
From being able to just take out your stones. Just to finish Corey's comment.
Oh, our crack research team here just informed me that Ricky was an assistant pitcher's coach this last spring.
There we go.
He's actually graduating this weekend.
Thank you to Damien.
We've got one of the best research teams working for Sioux Falls Curling in the amateur curling business, I can tell you right now.
But Matt had a great shot there. Honestly, now that it's grouped that way, it makes it a lot harder for a takeout to be possible.
Absolutely.
They can definitely throw a stone down and just see what happens, but it, A, adds a huge element of chaos, and B, is a little more challenging because it uses a lot more force.
It is. If they catch this stone right, it is possible to send all three out. But it will take a pretty specific shot.
And honestly, the contenders may have it in them tonight. I have been impressed with their play. Gave a little push off there.
He did.
So that gave it a little more force. The sweepers are doing their job of keeping that stone straight. And they got one out. And there you go. One of theirs is also in the
Team
house.
off is still sitting two.
They are.
Daryl Haas about to throw his first stone. We've got a skip discussion occurring down here. Mandy and Dustin trade secrets.
Is that what you guys do when you dock?
Yes.
As skips?
Yes,
You share trade secrets?
absolutely. Normally we're swapping recipes.
All right. That is not what we do with sweepers.
Yeah, that's well, we've established that you work and I don't. So that's pretty clear. That last
Sweeping
stone
can be
sailed
challenging.
through.
You mentally challenge yourself.
That's true. That's true. Is Brian Schumacher up here for his
First stone. Nope.
second stone?
Second stone. Sorry.
Second stone.
Something stone.
Brian likes it. He thinks he's got a good takeout.
Yep. And
he
it
does.
is right on line. Wow, he's got some good lines tonight.
So far, Brian is keeping the contenders well out in front.
So that is switched who has points on the board now. So the contenders are actually scoring one at this point in time.
Daryl Haas trying to, well, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what he's trying to do. I think this one maybe got away from him.
Yep. It's curling to the left, which is how he wanted it to curl, but it also started on the left, which is
That's in the house. That's better
is
than
in the
nothing.
house. So hopefully one of his teammates will take out one of the closer stones.
Well, now it comes down to Mandy, and we'll see what she can do with her two stones. We're down to the skips, the last two to throw for each team. One for each team, excuse me. Dustin Hanson coming down. He's hoping to put a guard out front. protect his stone scoring at the moment.
We do want to take the time to thank our sponsors. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a list of our sponsors, but we especially want to thank Play It Again Sports and Home Federal Bank.
Absolutely.
Also, if you are looking to somehow sponsor the curling club, you can
Please get a hold of
contact
us.
any of us
Yeah.
through our website. But one thing that you can definitely purchase ultimately through sponsoring is some new curling handles, which you will see on the stones that are currently being played. We are hoping to replace all of our handles with our sponsors' names on the top.
Dustin places a nice guard out front. As you'll hear Kurt sharing with Mandy, there's quite a bit of room to come around that right side. I think Kurt would like her to draw into the center and simply score. In case you didn't hear it, Dustin's confused as to which sport he's playing. Not surprising.
Dustin was commenting about hockey. That's why Corey said that.
Thanks for that.
Just wanted to clarify for
I
people who couldn't
appreciate
hear
it. That's right. I appreciate it. Looks like Kurt's calling for what will end up being either a close draw into the opponent's stone or a takeout. Let's see what kind of weight she gives it. And he's off. Her stone's going to travel quite a bit. If the sweepers aren't able to, it's going to maybe catch that lead block. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to catch that lead guard.
And not quite do what they wanted it to do.
No, didn't help at all, really. Contender's still sitting one with a guard that's in a decent position. Certainly for any kind of outward curl, it's going to be difficult to get to that inner stone. However, it is still possible.
So Brian's calling for the same shot that Dustin threw last time. He's calling off the sweepers. He is hoping that it will just draw in and nicely kiss that one.
That was a very good call by
Yeah.
Brian.
Because Matt was
That
not
was a
able to
well-called
scoop that out.
stone.
That was.
Mandy's got one more to throw. The long, lonely walk
The skip.
of the hammer throw for the skip.
All of these things I just did not know about skipping.
Yeah, in my 18 months of skipping, I can tell you, this is one of the more challenging situations to be in.
Yeah.
Mandy's first stone is off, and she wanted to make sure it got there.
Let's hopefully hope that it's on the line that she wants.
Line's not bad.
Knocked one out.
She was able to remove one.
Okay. So they still sit one.
Considering how that could have ended, Mandy did a nice job of mitigating the damage there.
That's sometimes how you have to play it.
As we head into our fourth end, Contenders lead 7-0. As Katie mentioned, you see these shiny new handles on this set of stones.
It's the first day we're using
Very
them.
excited to
Yes.
see. Anytime you're starting an organization like this from scratch takes some time to build up to the fancy equipment. Having said that, the Sioux Falls Curling Board deserves some credit for creating a pretty incredible organization from basically nothing.
And we are fortunate enough to have stones enough stones that we can play 4 matches at the same time. And so we don't need to replace the stones by any means, because those are awesome, but the handles are the issue. Sometimes they get a little wobbly, and these new ones are not, which is awesome.
There you saw again that first stone didn't cross the hog line, as we call it, that black line just beyond the Bill Sexton Family Rink sign in the center of the ice there. If it doesn't cross that line, it gets burned or taken out of play. Kurt Sohl off with his first throw.
There's a little bit of heat behind it.
Yeah, maybe a little heavier than Kurt wanted it to be. As you can see, the ice is starting to pick up speed a little bit.
And Dustin will sweep it out.
Again, once the stone passes that center T line in the middle of the house, the opponent's team can sweep it out. The opponent's skip can sweep it out. But they can't they can't sweep that stone until it crosses that T line. Chris Leithers.
We are all throwing a
Second
little
shot.
faster right now.
Looks like it'll carry through the back of the house as well. Some adjustments need to be made. We'll see what Kurt does with his second shot.
Gave it a little bit of push again.
He did. Kurt's got some weight on it. However, that is a little better than his previous shot. He may be able to hold that one.
Not if Dustin has anything to say about it.
Yeah, he'll sit in the back of the house with that one, but that maybe helps he and his teammates get a sense for what kind of weight they need to be throwing.
And that would be a great weight for a later thrower.
Absolutely. Ricky Bourne's first throw at his fourth end. Skip thinks is going to be a little light, so that he's got him sweeping. See if he can extend it and keep it a little straighter. They're going to try and sweep it up to the front of the house.
Oh, and they bring it just in. That was a nicely thrown stone. And you'll hear everybody saying good throw. That was universally seen as a good throw. And it's never a bad thing to make your sweeper sweep a little bit.
Absolutely not. Sweepers need to earn their keep. Got Matt Sohl here throwing his first stone of this fourth end. Matt came out of the hack pretty hard. I think that stone's going to have quite a bit of weight on it. He's hoping for a takeout, so it may be that if he can
just needs to curl a little bit to the right. Is it going to? Is it going to? It does. Nicely done, Matt.
And the nice thing about Matt's throw there is that he managed to allow his own stone to peel off to the left and stay in the house. So
right.
Not only did he take it out, but he kept his in play, which is
that was fantastic.
It's a good throw. The only real criticism you can offer there is if he had thrown maybe a hair lighter, the peel wouldn't have taken it quite so far, and it might have sat as a guard to the other stone.
That is true.
But
that balance is always just challenging.
That stone's going to fall a little outside, which isn't necessarily going to help the contenders.
Nope.
But does make a takeout a little more likely unless Matt can put a guard out and protect those stones.
And that is exactly what Mandy's calling for.
And he would like it to sit right in the front of the house. If at all possible, maybe just over that line. Matt threw that quite a bit
They're
lighter.
okay not sweeping. They're okay not sweeping. Or they sweep.
No, I was just trying to figure out who you were talking to. Were you?
Oh, sorry, Dustin was calling them to sweep. But of course he was calling them to sweep because he's playing on the opposite team. But that's the whole camaraderie thing, that we don't normally do that.
Right now, the team off is sitting 3. Dustin's calling for a takeout. Brian continues to play the way he's been playing tonight. This shouldn't be too difficult a shot for
Nope.
him. Having said that, Brian did come out of the hack a little off.
He's hoping for that curl, which he's getting. That wasn't what Dustin called for, but still a much better takeout, arguably, than what they were going for originally.
So nice job.
So there you go. Brian is still on a hot streak.
Yep. With that shot, Brian takes out the 2 center stones and manages to sit himself right in there, putting the contenders in scoring position. Daryl is going to do his best here to follow that line, and
Maybe a little light for a takeout, but we'll see. So we see what those sweepers can do.
looks like he's going to fall a little wider than they would
that's
have
the
liked.
only problem with weight. Brian's going for another takeout, but Dustin is thinking that through one more time.
Dustin's just trying to decide how much ice to give him.
Because it is a little risky shot, purely because there is potential for him to take himself out, but not with where that one's curling. That is like the first shot that Brian has not done perfectly tonight, so we'll allow him one.
To be fair, it was a takeout.
It was.
Just took out a stone that was already out of play.
You hear the people on the other side calling, air stone, air.
Darryl throwing another right up the center, really. Maybe a hair heavier than he would have hoped.
Yeah, you just want that one to sit,
Really has no curl.
but it's not going to sit.
Nope.
So frustrating.
Really threw a duck on that one.
All right, we are down to the skips. Mandy is contemplating what she will ultimately do.
Well, I think the clear shot is just to take out the center stone. We'll see what the contenders give her to work with here.
Yep. Dustin gave that one a little bit of a push.
He did.
They get curled a little bit more than they were hoping. Nope, not at all. I'm apparently terrible at saying anything
that
about this
shot.
angle.
With that shot, contenders are sitting 3.
They are. That's a tough one to choke down. Come on, Mandy.
Mandy's going to need to do some damage on this shot. At minimum, really, she needs a double takeout. Now, it is possible if she catches the inside edge on the left side of that front stone, she may be able to peel it off and take out the other as well.
Would it be better that way, or to go from the right side and actually get a stone counting?
Well, if she does it right,
Okay.
and she catches the inside edge and peels off to the left, she'll do a double takeout here, and then off on the left-hand side, she should be able to sit in front of that stone and nudge it out, still sitting in the house.
Got it.
We'll see.
That sounds like a very challenging shot.
Oh, it is.
Okay. Give it some juice.
Obviously, Kurt's calling for a pretty heavy shot. She threw that pretty
Yeah,
wide. I'm not sure that
it
that's
did.
going to go the way she wanted it to.
No.
Very little curl. Very little curl.
Well, and it was heavy.
That's going to be difficult. But
Just gonna hit. Nope. All right. Well,
she at least took one out of play.
did take one out, and arguably leaves her the more straightforward ones to take out.
And we'll see what Dustin gives. Now, Dustin's calling for, as he should, to try and put another one in the house on the right side.
That definitely makes sense.
Make it a little more complicated for Mandy to potentially score. She's going to have to choose which takeout to go for or try to draw into the center.
Brian's calling his sweepers off because he wants it to sit
good
right
stone.
in.
Maybe a little heavy, but it's a good stone.
It is. That is solid. Still forces Mandy to make a decision. It does give her a little bit of a backstop, though.
A little bit.
But even if she uses that as a backstop, I'm not sure if that would count as any points. So,
No.
what does she do?
Well, her team's calling for a button shot right now, which means that they want her to put it dead center in that bullseye.
See how that goes.
And that's the right play. In this
pushed it a little bit,
situation,
though.
that's the right play. It's a pretty heavy stone. That may not actually...
Don't think that's quite what she wanted.
That's going to be a little heavy. Not bad, but it's going to be a little heavy.
But at least it's not 3.
Absolutely.
So, that works. It's a decent backup plan. Are we just playing?
We're playing 4 ends because the 5th end would be unnecessary at this point, given that they're up 9-0.
I appreciate
As
that.
there's
Thank
only
you so
8
much.
stones, it would be impossible for them to score, so team off has conceded.
There you go. That is a perfect explanation that I wasn't even thinking of. Whew.
There you have it. Contenders are your champions.
Thank you all for coming out. We had a wonderful time. Thanks to Curling 605 for putting us on the internet.
Woo-woo! Thanks, Curling 605.
Thank you, everybody. Let's put these stones away and go have a beer.
And thank you guys very much for watching and listening. Good curling.